Well, well. I did not expect this to happen so quickly, I have to admit. I was thinking it was going to be weeks, if not months, before the Holy See of the Catholic Church, the Vatican, got together and voted on a pope. Like, I didn't know that, I guess behind the scenes, they had come to some kind of agreement. That or this dude was just that popular. But there is a new pope. We straight up, we got a new pope. They elected a new pope. And I had seen some conservatives when the I can never remember the pope's names. I'm sorry. We'll call the last pope Pope A, and the new pope Pope B, because I can't remember pope names for the life of me. I think the last one was like Pope John or something, but they're all like Pope John. Yeah, new pope just dropped. I'm not Christian, okay? The pope does not matter that much to me. All right. My Italian ancestors are probably looking down on me right now, like just so pissed off. You know, I'm gonna get a real earful in the afterlife for that. Anyway, Pope Francis. Oh yeah, new one is Pope Leo, old one is Pope Francis. Correcto. Anyway, not really one that follows the Catholic Church much. And so to me personally, the political leanings of the Pope don't really matter at all. Like, I have no real personal connection to Catholicism or anything, but Christianity is also one of the biggest religions in the entire world, and the beliefs and advocacy of the Pope, the word of the Pope, matters a lot on a grand scale. And so, seeing conservatives hoping for a more conservative Pope this time around, and seeing that hope kind of get dashed away, since the new Pope, Pope Leo, is anti-Trump, kind of a never-Trumper, people have described him as, due to the just generally anti-Christian, goodness behavior that Trump exhibits. He's been called out on it, and yeah, the Chuds are mad. They're real mad, because if they thought Pope Francis was woke, I'll tell you, this guy is outright criticizing Trump, and that, I don't know if Pope Francis ever did that. So we have an even more woke Pope now, it seems. Gotta say, quite fucking funny. Quite funny. I've actually got a Brian Taylor Cohen here video about it, because I don't know, like, anything about this. I think this is, like, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago they decided on the new Pope. I wasn't even at my computer when this news came out. So I am learning about this kind of 100% blind right now. I'm really curious to see why the Chuds are so mad. Like, what did he say about Trump specifically? Wasn't he anti-gay? I don't even know. Like, I assume this video will go into it. Let's find out. I've heard claims that this guy is also more conservative in some ways, so let's see.
In some very unexpected news today, the world was just introduced to the first American Pope in history, Robert Prevost.
Oh yeah, he's also from America, which is a pretty big deal. The Pope can originate from anywhere in the world, and oftentimes comes from anywhere in Europe. The recent one was from South America, or the last Pope was from South America. The Pope can come from anywhere in the world, and this is the first time the new Pope a Pope at all, has come from America. I was not expecting that. I didn't think there was even anyone eligible to become Pope that was American, to tell you the truth.
Who will take the name Pope Leo XIV. Trump, for his part, wasted no time in welcoming the new Pope, writing on Truth Social, "Congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who was just named Pope. It was such an honor to realize he is the first American Pope. What excitement and what a great honor for our country. I look forward to meeting Pope Leo XIV. It will be a very..."
So, I'm guessing that this positive beat does not stick around. Seems like Trump's pretty happy because he found out the new Pope was American. I'm assuming this was before Trump found out what this Pope has said about him.
Meaningful moment. He echoed those same sentiments here.
Again, to have the Pope from the United States of America, that's a great honor. That's a great honor.
Now,
apparently Pope Francis was extremely critical of Trump. Oh, that's my bad then. I didn't know that. See, this is what I get for not following Catholicism. I'm missing out on all this great, Trump criticism. I didn't even know.
I'm not going to pretend that I'm a pro at predicting the future, but Something tells me that these are probably the last kind words that are going to be shared between Trump and the new Pope. And that's because when you head on over to his Twitter account, well, let's just say that this Pope probably wasn't cheering on the January 6th insurrectionists. Here's the most recent post where he retweeted, as Trump and Bukele use Oval to laugh at Fed's illicit deportation of a U.S. resident, once an undocumented Salvadorian himself, now DC Ox and Avilio asks, do you not see the suffering? Is your conscience not disturbed? How can you stay quiet? And linked to that.
Damn, that's pretty cut and dry against Trump. But you know what I just realized? The fact that this Pope is American is going to matter a lot when it comes to American politics as well. Keep in mind, yeah, Pope Francis and other popes certainly had their feelings on Trump and expressed negative feelings on him, and America's the most powerful country in the world, but if you're not American, you're probably not thinking about America and its politics all the time. But if you're from America and your country is going through an age of cruelty like this and you're the Pope, I have a feeling that fact is going to take up a lot more mental bandwidth. I think in the case of this new Pope, it's going to take, like, Leo's going to have a lot more of his mental bandwidth taken up with the idea of America's politics than Pope Francis did. And that might mean we're going to see regular, like, call-outs on Trump from the Pope. And it's going to be decided, like, is Trump going to have a full-on social media war with the Vatican? Or is he going to start walking things back and softening his rhetoric and behavior to try and look good to the religious establishment? That's a big question. Or will there not really be any more criticism of his politics? It's hard to say.
That post is an article written by Bishop Avilio decrying the fact that the federal government has pursued a shock and awe campaign of aggressive threats and highly visible operations of questionable legality that go far beyond mere immigration enforcement. But that's just the beginning, because if you scroll down on that Twitter feed, you'll find a tweet that reads, Pope Francis's letter, J.D. Vance's Ordo Amoris, and what the gospel asks all of us on immigration. And that post links to an article that ends, the gospel does not offer a charter for how to legislate about immigration. It does offer a standard for how far we are to go to love our neighbor and a refusal to accept the limits we might be comfortable with on who our neighbors are. The question we need to answer is whether we judge our politics according to the gospel or the other way around. The next tweet after that, a direct shot at JD.
Damn, as much as we probably all have our negative opinions on Christianity, if you cherry pick, to be fair, if you cherry pick, there is a lot of good messaging in Christian teaching. And if you live by the good parts of Christian teaching, and you really stick to it and you really care and it actually matters to you, there's no world in which you could look at Trump's behavior and his actions and support him. That's just that it doesn't compute. Trump is the opposite of Christian. Trump is closer to the Antichrist than he is to, like, the average dude who goes to church, right? Like, when you look at, like, all the signs of and evidence of the Antichrist or whatever in the Bible, it's like basically one-to-one describes Trump. You know, when you look up, like, demonic possession in the Bible, it basically one-to-one looks like Trump, you know? Like, Trump might be a demon. If Christianity is real, Trump would probably be a demon.
J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. In fact, the new Pope's anti-Trump bend has been apparent for a decade. Back in 2015, 10 years ago, he tweeted a Washington Post op-ed written by Cardinal Dolan entitled, Why Donald Trump's Anti-Immigrant Rhetoric is So Problematic. And that includes the paragraph, I am not in the business of telling people what candidates they should support or who deserves their votes, but as a Catholic, I take seriously the Bible's teachings that we are to welcome the stranger, one of the most frequently mentioned moral imperatives in both the Old and New Testament. And of course, leave it to the party of the evangelicals when
Isn't there, like, rules and, like, I think it's all Abrahamic religions, like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. There's, like, rules around hospitality, right? Like, technically, as a Christian, if, like, some stranger knocks on your door and says, I've got nowhere to sleep tonight, I'm starving, can I please, like crash in your garage and maybe have, like, a Pop-Tart? Like, you're kind of obligated by the Bible to provide provide shelter and hospitality? Like, is that not like a thing? Yeah, I know Islam has that for sure, and they take it seriously because Islam is a lot more. At least most people who practice Islam compared to Christianity are less cherry picky and a lot more like, you better follow the fucking rules, you know. Yeah, if you can help, you kind of have to help. Okay, it's the Good Samaritan rule. I thought it was something specific to hospitality and providing shelter to someone who doesn't have it.
Literal pope goes up against a convicted felon and serial sexual predator whose platform is that refugees should be sent to foreign gulags and that billionaires need a tax break to defend the latter. Megyn Kelly tweeted, "Is it too much to hope that some 20-year-old ran the new pope's X account and he never looked at it?" Jack Posobiec tweeted, "Here is the new pope attacking Trump." Matt Wallace tweeted,
I love this one, by the way. So many conservative tweets these days, and I've noticed this. So many of these conservative tweets these days come off as a kid telling on another kid to the teacher. But in this situation, the kid is a 40-year-old internet personality. The kid they're telling on is the Pope criticizing Trump like 10 years ago. And the teacher is the mob of conservatives that they're like, guys, did you know this guy criticized Trump? Uh-oh, this guy criticized Trump. You all know what to do. It's like he's telling on them. He's just like announcing, guys, the new Pope criticized Trump. Not criticized, sorry, attacked. It's always, if you ever criticize Trump, you're attacking him. It's always how it's phrased. It comes off as like just telling on them, you know, like there's no argument, there's no like attempt to debunk what is being criticized. It's just telling on him to his large following of Trump supporters.
Here is the new pope attacking Trump. Matt Wallace tweeted, "I was considering becoming Catholic, not anymore." Not to forget the most influential voice in modern right-wing politics, Cat Turd 2 tweeted, "Nightmare." And just in case you feel like you have too many brain cells and want to...
I like... Are we going to be learning in history books in decades from now that, like, one of the, like, influential figures who helped bring about Trump's destruction of everything American during this time was a guy whose Twitter handle was CatTurd2? A guy who went by CatTurd and had a fart fetish? Like, is that going to be something that, like, kids in the future are going to have to learn in their history books? I thought that guy killed himself. Sadly, no, he's still around. CatTurd is still posting.
To kill some off, take a listen to what Charlie Kirk has to say.
Hey everybody, there's a new pope, and the pope is from Chicago. What do we actually know about this new pope? Well, the pope is from Chicago. I am as well. He served in Peru. By the way, I'm not Catholic, by the way. I'm evangelical, but it still matters who the pope is. He is a registered Republican and voted in Republican primaries and ran a pro-life group at Villanova
Doesn't like
University,
Trump,
so that's
though.
a good sign. Also
He's
has
like Romney.
some, let's just say, not so great tweets about having some willingness for open borders. We'll see kind of how he is on that. Also some George...
He's a little, you know, we'll see how he is on that. He's a little in favor of open borders. You know, we want to be sending people off to, like, the gulag for daring to, it's not even, like, people who aren't citizens, mind you. It's, like, people who are citizens they're deporting now. Like, basically just sending them off to the gulag. You know, might as well just call it that. Like, what else is it? It's sending them off to the gulag. That's what Trump is doing. So the Pope is not in favor of sending these people off to the gulag, and because of that, you know, not liking what I'm seeing, Are they still talking about George Floyd? Yeah, they really, really don't like that people did not want George Floyd to die. They really want to try and still win that point over, the George Floyd thing.
Orders. We'll see kind of how he is on that. Also some George Floyd stuff that I'm not too crazy about. But overall, it seems like he's a pro-life warrior. There's a lot yet to...
He's not too crazy about being against, you know, innocent people being murdered by the cops. He's not a big, you know, he's not too crazy about criticizing that.
Learn about this Pope, but I hope that he will be a strong advocate for strong borders and for sovereignty. The first ever American Pope. You gotta wonder why.
What a funny looking guy.
American Pope. Could be a coincidence, could be nothing, or is that they want a voice that is also for the opening of American borders while we have President Trump. Who knows? Let's see. But by the way,
there always has to be a victim complex, even while they hold all the power. Like, where is the swamp or the deep state that's holding Trump back at this point? Who are they? Like, how has Doge not defunded them already? Like where? How have they not been fired? Like, what? Where is this deep state? How deep
borders
are they?
Biblical. Close your borders. Love your people. You should, of course, love everyone. The best way to love them is to have them make their countries great. And our God is a God of order, a God of structure, and does not want millions of people who we do not know coming into our country in the dilution of sovereignty. So there's a new pope.
Well, you can say that, but we're already at the point now where we're deporting actual citizens. So, no, like we're not doing the game of like, oh, we just want secure borders. No, if you're defending what's going on right now, you also have to defend citizens and children that are also citizens getting deported and sent off to like gulags in South America. You got to defend the black sites and like Alcatraz and Guantanamo getting used. Like don't play. They will always try to play the whole we just want secure borders game, but we got to force them to defend what's coming with that. The reality of what this quote unquote closed borders policy entails.
Pope. A lot more to learn about it, and congratulations to all Catholics who are excited about it. Some people are saying he's super liberal. We know he was a registered Republican. Time will tell. And we'll keep all Christians in our prayers, Catholics included, that this is for the betterment of humanity.
Yes, hopefully the Pope will be pro-strong borders like Donald Trump. Hopefully he too will be falling over himself to expel people seeking refuge to foreign gulags and max security prisons.
Hey, use the term.
Because after all, isn't
they are
that what
gulags.
Jesus would have wanted?
That's basically
look,
what it is.
I'm certainly no authority on Christianity or any religion, although by birthright I feel like I'm somewhat of an authority on bagels and guilt. But I am grateful that the Pope was willing to use his platform to actually represent the values of Christianity and not allow people like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and the rest of these MAGA goons in the GOP to completely co-opt and pervert that religion. Somewhere along the line, these Republican politicians and operatives have made themselves the arbiters of what Christianity actually is and what it isn't. And surprise, surprise, they decided that all of their far-right political priorities were all validated by Jesus and the Bible. Convenient, huh? But I can say with some degree of certainty that in reality, Trump's platform and the MAGA platform itself runs wholly and completely antithetical to the teachings of all religions, but especially Christianity. He and Republicans are moving to strip the sick and elderly of health care by cutting $880 billion from Medicaid, a crucial lifeline to millions of low-income Americans and children, and $230 billion from food stamps. They're passing a tax cut right now that overwhelmingly favors the rich, in stark contrast to Scripture condemning luxury. It was Jesus who said that...
You know, what I've always found so funny is that if you actually deep dive a lot of Christian belief, so much of it is like, it gets to a level of parody to remind yourself as you read it that it is the right, the American right, that overwhelmingly congregates around this thought process and believes these things are real, you know? Like, here's one of my favorite Bible quotes. It's literally the one that was, so for those of you guys that don't know, Luigi Mangione, the guy who killed that CEO, had left a bag somewhere near where he had done the crime, allegedly, and the police found the bag. And there were a few items in the bag, very few, but one of the single items, very clearly intentionally left in the bag, was a Pokemon card. A Pokemon card for the Pokemon Breloom, who, as it turns out, has the Pokedex number of, I believe it's 216. I forget what exact Pokedex number it is, but if you plug that Pokedex number into like book and verse of the Bible, you end up getting the quote, better is the poor man who is, I believe it was better is the poor man who walks with integrity than the rich man who is crooked in his ways. That is the quote that correlates to Breloom's Pokedex number, and very apt for the. It was like a calling card of sorts that Luigi Mangione left behind, And so, I love that quote because you read a quote like that. Better is the poor man who walks in integrity. So a poor man who doesn't have much but has integrity and stays true to themselves and stays moral and is loyal to their friends and knows what matters in life and tries to be a good person, and isn't a scheming asshole, right? Let's say you've got two guys who start a business. Maybe one guy, isn't being an asshole with the way they run their business. They pay their employees well. They aren't brutally trying to undercut the market or sabotage other, businesses around. But, they get okay business. They keep afloat. But the other guy across town, I mean, that guy's doing all the nasty tricks and he's rich, right? But better is a poor man who has his integrity than a rich man who got his wealth through wicked ways, And this is so apt to conversations about the right, because never have I seen a more perfect example of the right being the wicked rich ones who acquired their wealth through wicked ways, who actively put down the poor who walk in integrity. The right culturally sees being poor and being having integrity simultaneously as weakness and cringe and worth making fun of. And most of these conservatives claim to be Christian. I find it quite funny. I found it Proverbs 286. Proverbs 286, better the poor whose walk is blameless than the rich whose ways are perverse. I misquoted it, my bad. But yeah, more or less meets the same, it means the same thing. It's I don't know. I think it's funny how much of the Bible and Christianity is kind of a criticism of many of the people who purport it and use its ideas to support their ideology. It almost makes you think, man, if any of this Christianity stuff is real, a lot of these right-wing Christians have so much to worry about, if there's an afterlife and what they believe is correct. They have so much to worry about because they are not living to the by the number of their good book by any means.
That it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter heaven. And yet their entire economic agenda is a giveaway to those very people. And just weeks ago, Donald Trump condemned Abrego Garcia with zero evidence and zero due process to a foreign prison in the country from which he sought refuge. I mean, come on, people. Jesus Christ himself was literally a refugee. How much more diametrically opposed to the teachings of Christ could you get than attacking refugees in the name of a refugee? Trump and his mouthpieces will hide behind...
It's so bad, by the way. Trump didn't know what asylum seeker meant, so he's just ran with what his brain immediately decided it meant the second he heard the word. And he believes and pushes the idea, you've heard him say that countries are emptying their prisons into America. That all comes from the fact that he doesn't know what asylum seeker means, made up a definition and chooses to believe that is the definition. His definition being people from asylums in other countries coming to America. But he believes there's a program where asylums are shipping their patients into America, I guess. And that's what he believes an asylum seeker is. And then it went from being they're emptying their asylums into America into they're emptying their prisons into America. I'm not joking, by the way. For months, Trump wasn't saying prisons, he was saying asylums. And then eventually it went from asylums to prisons. He changed the rhetoric a little bit. But it was very obvious for a few months there that Trump thought asylum seekers were people from mental asylums being shipped into America.
Christianity while supporting policies that stand in stark contrast to the actual values of that religion. Let's not pretend we don't know what Jesus himself stood for. He was an immigrant who said to help the poor, welcome strangers, and called hypocrites wolves in sheep's clothing. And finally, I'll end with this. For those who still want to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt as to his Christian bona fides, do not forget that he was asked to name his favorite Bible verse. An otherwise
this clip.
Basic
Dude,
question.
Wait, this is perfect. I was literally going to bring up this clip to show as my finishing thing. After this video ended, I was going to bring up this clip and show it to you guys as part of my finalizing statement of the video. So I guess I'll do it now. So yes, Trump has never been a Christian. He has always touted Christian rhetoric and the idea of Christianity as a way of getting them on board with him. Christians don't... if someone comes to a Christian and says, I'm a Christian, the idea that they're lying and saying they're a Christian falsely is kind of an out there idea. Like, that's so blasphemous. It's like you wouldn't even like mentally accuse someone of that by suspecting them of it as a Christian in a lot of cases. Like, it's just not a common reaction for someone to have. And so when Trump claims he's Christian, Christians believe it. Even when his actions aren't very Christian, Christians sin sometimes, and then they ask Jesus or God for forgiveness. They pray, and that's a very personal thing, right? It's easy to rationalize a bad person being a real Christian as a Christian, right? And so it's really important that we remember moments like what you're about to see, because not only is what you're about to see a perfect example of how Trump answers a question that he can't answer, which is by not answering it at all and like playing around it. I want you to see how like this is one of the most blatant examples. Every time he has to answer a hard question, this is how he does it. But like on top of that, it shows how he is not even like he's less Christian than me. Like, I could at least name a verse, you know, I could name like a few different verses. I could just like name a book from the Bible. It's not that hard. Like, you don't have to be a Christian to know a good handful of like knowledge. Wait till you see this clip.
At least for anyone who purports to follow the teachings of Christ. And here's what he had to say.
I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that
you
like?
No, I don't want to do that.
Which brings me to my favorite Bible.
That right there. No, that's what I want to end things on right there, that clip. He just floods you with words that don't mean anything, moves you off the subject, and refuses to answer. And now, like back then, people could have just stood their ground and really pushed Trump on these questions, and they just chose not to because they didn't want to be rude or unprofessional. Now Trump holds so much power that if you're a journalist and you want to call Trump out on a lie or him clearly not knowing what he's talking about, you're risking losing your entire agency, their press pass. Trump has set it up such that any journalist who wants to really get tough on him is basically risking their entire career. Because you're definitely going to lose your job if your question gets, like, ABC, the company you work for, banned from the White House. Like, the whole company loses their press pass, right? Like, every one of these journalists has the threat of their entire career and livelihood on the line to not go too hard on Trump and get the entire company they work for in trouble, and thus have, you know, they're going to get all the trouble on their end of the company. Like Trump's got a very powerful, like, you know what's going on situation with these journalists where, like, they've got to play softball with him because their careers are on the line. Because what Trump does to the company they work for is going to affect them pretty damn bad. I don't know. I really do hope that this Pope ends up like regularly calling out Trump and just triggering the fuck out of the right. It would be really funny. A good example of a similar situation is the creator of Veggie Tales. For those who don't know, you might not this might surprise you. Veggie Tales is not like, yeah, it was like Christian children's animation, but the creator of Veggie Tales is not like a super crazy radical, like hateful Christian, the kind you might imagine would want to like indoctrinate kids into Christianity in America, right? He's, from what I've seen, pretty pro-gay and trans. Like, he doesn't... As a matter of fact, the creator of Veggie Tales does a podcast in which he called Matt Walsh, like, a hateful... I think he called him a hateful man using Christianity to peddle hate and make money. And said, like, whatever kind of Christian Matt Walsh thinks he is, that's not us, I believe was the quote. And Matt Walsh got super salty and mauled over it because the creator of Veggie Tales basically called him out for not being a real Christian and being hateful. And yeah, I mean, like, the creator of Veggie Tales is pretty based. Like, he called out Matt Walsh on a podcast. Like they did a segment on a podcast watching a clip, like clips of Matt Walsh, pausing it and being like, this guy clearly has no idea what he's talking about. A Christian loves everyone, does not consider... calling trans people delusional monsters, like, what is this? This is not Christian, you know, like, I must say, the creator of Veggie Tales is pretty based, and I wonder if we're gonna see a trend like that. Like, Christians who've actually done something good, you know? Christians who actually have gained the respect of the broader community by doing good things, if those people are going to start to make it a habit of coming out and criticizing Trump and criticizing the modern right, because there's nothing more satanic in America right now than the modern right. And I mean this literally, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there's some Christians in chat that can tell me, but the idea of satanic things fundamentally, according to the Bible, is not like devil horns and fire and spikes and like pentagrams and stuff. It's more like individuals deciding to use their free will to abandon the teachings of God in pursuit of enriching themselves and pursuing sinful pleasures. And so the idea of someone being influenced by Satan or influenced by demons or by evil in general is just turning away from Christianity and God and pursuing like self-fulfillment without any care for others or anything, just all for yourself. And that is literally what Trump and the modern day Republicans are all about. Fuck everyone else, fuck empathy, fuck caring about others or what anyone thinks when I do bad things. Just do whatever, get that bag, stay on that grind, grift. Like, that's what conservatives are all about, and that is explicitly satanic, according to the Bible. Like, the right's self-serving nature these days is explicitly, biblically satanic. Correct? It's just about self-serving individuals? Yes. So yeah, I'm just calling it how I see it, you know? I'm not a Christian, but Christians should be recognizing the real satanic influence where it lies if they believe in that stuff, because it's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty cut and dry. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining and enjoyable, then consider hitting the like button and leaving a comment. In fact, if you watched this far and you want to let me know you saw this far, you should comment. What should you comment? Praise Jeebus. Comment praise Jeebus. Sorry to the Christians in chat, no offense, but comment praise Jeebus if you watched this far to let me know you saw all the way to the end. Your likes and your comments immensely boost the channel and the algorithm, so it really does help on both my streams and my videos when those come out. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias linked down below, especially my fan Discord, which is where I host gaming events, call-in streams, and watch parties and movie nights every week on Fridays. And I also announce all my new uploads and streams there. So it is the place to be if you don't want to miss anything. Links down below in the description once again. And finally, if you want to support me directly, you can afford it and you feel like it, and you want to help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching, as always, and have a good one.